The internet, and specifically YouTube, is full of videos promising you how to go from 0 to 100,000 subscribers in 3 months, or how to make $10,000 a month from YouTube income, as if there's just some sort of simple formula or 5-minute video you can watch that'll teach you how to become a member of the YouTube Partner Program. When the reality is, a very small percentage of YouTube channels ever get the chance to be monetized through ads. If there really were a quick and easy way to get to that point, we'd see a lot more people realizing their goal of making money from YouTube. That's why I wanted to make this video. I feel like I have a much more realistic story about what it means to become part of the YouTube Partner Program, including how long it took me to get here and how much I'm probably going to be making now that I'm in the program. I'm also not a full-time content creator. I run this channel in addition to having my own small business and 2 small children. Now, maybe that's not the kind of hook that's gonna entice you to stay, but I do think that my story might help you set more realistic goals on this journey and also to enjoy the process instead of panicking that you have somehow failed to do this as quickly as all of these other videos are promising that you can. I'm Steph Schertz, and this is a realistic path to monetizing your YouTube channel. I'll start by giving you a little bit of background on this channel and how long I've actually been trying to make this happen. I actually created this account way back in 2015. At that point, I had a completely different business. It was also called Bushel because I just liked the name and it was versatile, which is why I picked it to begin with. And back then, I was actually making videos about being a small business owner who makes video content. And so I was trying to give people tips about how to edit videos. There weren't as many options for like video editing as there are now. And so it was really about like, how does someone do this with no background in editing or anything like that? I made probably a handful of videos about running a small business. It was sort of like book club videos where I would summarize a book. And I made, like I said, a handful of videos and then just completely dropped off. However, when I stopped making them, I didn't delete any of the videos. I just sort of like left them up and pretended that they didn't exist. And because of that, I did accumulate views and also some subscribers. So even though I wasn't getting anywhere near the requirements you need to be part of the YouTube Partner Program, it did allow me to not start quite from zero when I came back to the YouTube channel a couple years ago. Then in 2021, I started Bushel as it is known today, which is a company that makes things that smell nice. So candles, soap, shower steamers, lip balm. And when I started the business, I wanted YouTube content to be part of my marketing plan. I struggle with social media. I have a really hard time being consistent, and I really enjoy long form content as a viewer. So I knew that that was going to be something that I was going to incorporate in the marketing of this business. So I went back to my trusty old YouTube account, and I believe I probably had like between 130 and 180 subscribers left over from before. So still not a huge number. And also they were subscribed to me for like small business content, but not necessarily a handmade goods small business. It was much more of like digital service-based business work. I wasn't sure how that was going to translate, but I didn't want to start from nothing. And this handle already had my business name in it. So I just privated all of those videos and kind of started fresh. 2 years later, I have just been accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. I had hit 1,000 subscribers a few months ago, but it was those watch hours that really killed me, and I just got to 4,000. I don't do a lot of shorts. I mostly do long form content, and so I am thrilled that it finally paid off. It was 2 years of really trying to figure out what kind of videos were going to actually get viewed, what people were interested in, and how to get to this point. And so now that I'm in the partner program, it's also a matter of figuring out how do I make the most of that. So that's where I am today, and that's what I wanted to share more about. Even though I think that my timeline feels a lot more realistic than some of these like get rich quick vibes from a lot of the videos you'll find on here about monetizing your channel, I still want to talk about things that I did or maybe didn't do that held me back from getting to this point faster. The first one, I'm sure you've already heard. If you're at all interested in making a YouTube channel, you've heard this advice before, but I'm going to reiterate how that manifested for me. And that is consistency or lack thereof in my case. I really wanted to publish a video every week. That was always the goal. And I would start each month thinking, okay, one vlog a week, got to keep up with that schedule, because I had heard so much from other videos that consistency was like the thing with YouTube content. But the reality is, I have a lot going on in my life. And 2 years ago, my kids were 2 and 4 years old. So on top of starting a small business and doing all of the things you have to do to get that launched, I also still had really young kids. They were not in all-day school. They were in daycare, but it was not full-time. And I had a lot of things that I was trying to manage. And at the time, I wasn't making money off of YouTube, so it was really hard to prioritize making content when I could not get an immediate ROI the way that I could if I was spending my time making products or reaching out to potential wholesale customers or those types of things. That was a much faster return on investment. So because of that, I did not put out a video every week. I would have a period of time where I would maybe hit 3 or 4 weeks in a row of every week, same time, same day, published a new video. And that was so satisfying. But eventually something would get in my way, whether that's the holiday season would come up and my production schedule was much more demanding, or maybe it was summer and my personal life schedule was more demanding, and I didn't want to resent the YouTube content. I did not want it to feel like a chore, because I knew that that would show in the finished product. And so I really gave myself a pass and felt like, if I can't get a video out, I am not going to beat myself up about it. I'm just going to wait until I have time to do that. I think that was absolutely the right choice for me, and I'm glad now that I did it that way, because I don't want to become someone who's stretched too thin or is impossible to be around in my personal life because I'm so stressed out by these demands. So I'm glad I did things that way, but I know for sure that that held me back. And the reason I know that is because in the times where I was more consistent, I noticed more engagement, I noticed more subscribers, my subscriber count would grow, and those watch hours would really grow. It got to a point where I could pretty much bank on each new video I released would add 100 watch hours to my count. And since you have to get to 4,000 watch hours, that's a lot of videos to release. That takes a really long time if that's what's happening with your content. Obviously, if you have something really blow up, then that will be a different story. But for me and the subscriber count that I had and the number of views that I regularly got on my videos, it was a rough formula of each new video, 100 new watch hours. And as sort of a caveat to that, like a part 1B of what held me back, was definitely perfectionism around my videos. Part of why I couldn't be consistent is because I had such high standards for the videos that I publish. And I'm not saying that you should have low standards for what you're putting out there, but I was being unrealistic about what I could deliver as a finished product with the resources that I have. So I wanted something that was as well edited as some of these professional YouTubers. And when I couldn't get that finished product, sometimes I would fully edit a video and then just scrap it because it just wasn't good enough. And a lot of that good enough was aesthetic. It's not so much that the content wasn't good. It was that I didn't like the quality of the footage, or I felt like I couldn't edit it and include enough B-roll and other things that was more stimulating or more varied. And the reality is, creating a video like that, the amount of time it takes to edit, it's just a really labor-intensive process. And I did not have the time to do that. And I could not outsource it because, again, I wasn't making any money from this. I was already spending money on my other business. I wasn't about to spend money on an editor or something like that. So I wish that I had lowered my standards in terms of like the aesthetic finished product and just published stuff that I believed in, that I knew would help people. I think that that would have helped me get to this point faster. And then another thing that I know holds me back, I was not doing, and if I'm being honest, I'm still not really doing, is optimizing my videos. And what I mean by that is thorough keyword research, optimizing my thumbnails. I do experiment, like I put as much effort into it as I feel like I can, but I know that like my titles, my descriptions, my links, whatever, I could absolutely be doing more than I currently am. And I probably would have gotten to this point faster if I was doing a lot more SEO research, if I was experimenting a little bit more, if I was just educating myself on that aspect of things. And I don't have the bandwidth to do that, but I know how important it is. And I wish I could maybe find a way to work that into my weekly schedule. That's definitely a goal of mine moving forward, especially now that it is a monetized channel. I feel like now I'm officially leaving money on the table if I don't do more of that. So that is a goal of mine for the future. But if you are someone who's good with that kind of stuff, or you like learning about it, I hate learning about that stuff. There is nothing drier to me than that kind of information. So I really struggle to like focus enough to actually get anything from videos about that. But if you like it, I feel like you could make a lot of strides just by optimizing things more than I did. And then this I'll say before I move on to my next topic, I will say that this is not something that I think held me back, because I don't think I could have really honed in on this without just experimenting, like putting videos out and finding this information out through that method. But when I started making videos, I was confused about who my ideal viewer was. I have this business where I make products, and I assumed that my channel should be a marketing funnel to get customers to buy my products. That was initially the goal as I made my like day in the life videos. Like I thought that I was speaking to my customers. But what I realized, and I think it's just something to really pay attention to, I realized that a lot of the engagement I was getting was from other business owners like me. And it became pretty clear pretty early on that my ideal viewer on YouTube is not a customer of mine. They're people who are maybe looking to me for information that they can use for their business. So I don't want to say competitor. I don't feel competition with other soap makers or candle makers, but it's peers of mine. It's not my customers. And once I figured that out, I feel like it helped me plan out what kind of content I was going to do. I still feel like I'm in a period where I'm experimenting with types of content, because ultimately I really do enjoy making content for other business owners, but I do feel limited. Like I feel less creative, and a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about maybe strays a little away from that content, and I have to figure out how am I going to make these things cohesive and like make sense as a channel, while also continuing to make content that I really enjoy, that like really feels like it pushes me creatively. So again, I like making this kind of content. I really do want to be helpful to people, but I also want to feel really creative doing this. And I love sort of like more artistic stuff and stuff that like really looks beautiful and has like maybe more of a story behind it. And I'm always trying to figure out like how to navigate like the intersection of those things. But I do think it's really important to pay attention to like who you're getting comments from and which of your videos are doing the best, and trying to figure out why that is. Sometimes it's not always obvious, but I do like to check in on those things as much as I can. That's about as much as I do in terms of optimizing the channel. I think another thing that's really important to talk about when we're discussing how long it might take you to actually get into the YouTube Partner Program is, how do you stay motivated? There were lots of times where I just fell off of making videos. I just wasn't putting anything on YouTube because I did feel sort of unfulfilled by what was happening with my channel. I felt like I was putting things out there and they would get some views, but it took so much effort and so much energy, which I already felt like I had like limited supplies of. So it is definitely a struggle to like keep the mindset of I'm going to keep going even when I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And maybe I'm not seeing those results for a very long time. So these are sort of my tips for how I stay motivated when my goal feels very far off from where I currently am. The first one I just touched on a little bit, and that is to really enjoy the videos you're making. Now, I've also seen big YouTube creators talk about how this channel is not about you, it's about your audience. And that is very important feedback. And I do think it's absolutely an element of choosing what kind of videos to make. But in my experience, if I'm not excited about what I'm about to create, not only does it, I think, come across in the finished product, which makes it less watchable, I also find that it's hard for me to do the work I need to do to create the video. And if you're at a point where it doesn't interest you enough to actually put out a finished product, you're never going to get anywhere. So start with things that you're excited to talk about, you're excited to make, you're excited to edit. All of the steps of this process that you have to do in order to like actually make the content, make sure it's about stuff that you enjoy. I know that's not groundbreaking advice, but I want to bring it up specifically in the discussion about how to keep going when this is not making you money right away. I also think of it as, if you know anything about creating habits, if you're one of the many people who read Atomic Habits in the past couple of years, the only way you're going to become part of the YouTube Partner Program is if you make video content a habit. It has to become that sort of like ingrained in your daily, weekly, monthly schedule for it to work. And you cannot create a habit without a reward. The cycle of a habit is trigger, action, or routine or whatever, and then reward. And I think that the reward is what we have to focus on when we're not making money. Because obviously, once you're making money off of the videos, that can feel like part of the reward. I don't think it's enough to really keep you motivated, but it's easier than if you're not making any money at all. So you have to figure out what's your reward when there's no money or like financial stability that comes along with doing the work. And for me, the reward is that I like making things where the finished product is something I'm proud of. And sometimes that's physical goods. That's how I started the business I started. But it also applies to videos. When I have finished editing a video and I'm proud of the product that I can deliver to somebody, even if I don't know how many people are going to watch it, there is a lot of like deep sense of satisfaction that I get from that process. So figure out what your reward is and make sure that that's part of your habit cycle. Another thing that keeps me motivated that I've really had to change for myself, because I would always set these really lofty goals. Like I wanted the channel monetized kind of right away, which of course now looking back on it was so unrealistic, and also I kept feeling down about that fact. Like I would really beat myself up about the fact that I was doing all of this work and I wasn't making any money off of it. And I had no idea when I was going to be making money off of it. And having that goal be as far off as it was really took away a lot of the enjoyment and motivation. So I think that another key step in staying motivated is setting small, attainable goals. I have changed a lot of my goals to like, how many vlogs am I going to put out this month? And I don't say 4, even though there's 4 weekends in a month generally. And I like to put out a video every Saturday or Sunday if I'm behind. I still don't make the goal 4. Even though I think that should be the goal, I make it 3, because then if I inevitably have a week where like something is off or like something comes up in my personal life, I still have the chance to reach that goal and feel like I've accomplished what I set out to accomplish. And that, just like that small change, really helps my mindset around whether or not I'm successful at doing this. So that I think is a big difference. I also was lowering my goals on my next subscriber count or watch hour count. So I waited until it was something that I was very close to and then set the goal just above that. Because the thing is, even if you think you're eventually going to get to 4,000 watch hours and you feel pretty confident about that, it's much better, at least the way my brain works. Maybe you're different, but for me, I felt much better when I could celebrate small wins along the way. Like it was something I could celebrate that wasn't the ultimate goal. Like, no, I'm not in the partner program yet, but I did hit 3,000 watch hours and I'm thrilled about that because I think it just allows you to like check in with yourself and remind yourself that you're doing a lot of work. And a lot of people never get to 3,000 watch hours. It is worth celebrating, even if it's not the ultimate goal, because you are committing yourself to something that matters to you. And that is worth celebrating in all kinds of increments. So break down your goals and make them smaller and just see if it helps you feel like there's more to celebrate and that you are actually achieving more than you give yourself credit for. The truth of the matter is, the thing that is so motivating that really I was not expecting, even though I know this is a factor in making content, it just wasn't something that I had like pictured experiencing. But that is the viewers and like the engagement that I get and the comments that I get. I not only get such lovely, heartfelt comments on my actual YouTube videos, I have people DM me on Instagram and just send me like a very thoughtful message about like what my content has meant to them. And the amount of people who comment on my videos like, we are on the exact same page, or like, I'm so glad you said this. This is exactly how I feel. I think you cannot undervalue what it means to give somebody the feeling of being seen. Like, you are not alone. As I'm saying this about myself, you can relate to it. And that is it really is what it means to build community. Having that exchange with people and offering them a sense of comfort, a sense of inspiration, whatever it is that draws them back to you or drew them to the video, even if they never watch another one, if this one meant something to them, that is definitely a reward for me because I know how much other YouTubers have meant to my journey, even if I never meet them or talk to them. They mean so much to me from afar. And I can tell from a lot of the engagement that I get that is something that I'm able to offer people also. And that is a huge motivator that I started experiencing long before I was part of this program. So that is something that I think if you are really authentic and vulnerable, you're going to start getting that feedback, I think, pretty early on because people love that kind of content and it's easier for them to see themselves in what you're doing. And I find people to be very generous with the comments that they give and the feedback that they share. Now, I wish I could tell you that, that I got monetized 2 weeks ago and I'm already making $500 this month, but that's not the case. I believe I currently have $2.83 in my revenue account or whatever it is. I don't know what it's called, but it's not a lot of money. However, I will tell you that it is thrilling to see that number. It's so small, it's not going to make a difference in my life, but there is something that feels like, you know how people say that they were more excited about 1,000 followers than they were about 100,000? I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm so excited about having earned my first dollar or two because it's something that felt so far off for so long. And the fact that it's real and it's happening is just, I don't know, I'm very excited about it, even though it's not really going to make a huge difference. But I will keep you guys posted as this goes along. I'm not sure how those numbers will change as I hopefully grow this channel. But right now, with about 1,300 subscribers and a couple videos since I got into the program, it's not much money. Stay realistic, but also give yourself credit for the launching pad that you're giving yourself, because that's where I feel like I am right now. Like, I have, through my own like blood, sweat, and tears, sometimes literally, gotten myself to this point, and it is also through the value that I've given other people that I've gotten to this point. And so I think reframing the mindset of what it takes to get here and what it means to get here will also help you feel better about the realistic experience of a small creator on YouTube. I hope that this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me reach other people like you to help and to give this information to, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.